You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
I'm Katrina, and I love anime.
I'm Steven, and I'm aware of anime.
But what if that affection could rub off?
Perhaps that excitement in her eyes got me curious.
I could offer up some solid anime.
I could give them a watch, just to see what all the fuss is about.
And maybe, just maybe,
I could learn to love anime too.
Welcome to Inspired by a Weeaboo. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Inspired by a Weeaboo. I am your host Katrina, and with me is my husband Steven.
Who?
We just finished episode 47 of Fullmetal Alchemist. Steven, what did you think?
Well, we had left off on such a mighty, I won't say cliffhanger, but just things were already kind of in motion. I was eager to get into getting to watch more because everything's coming to a head and I want to know what's going to happen. And a lot happened in this one. And it never seems like it's a lot, but it is when you really break it down.
Right.
You know what I mean? But before we dive in, I do want to ask a question that maybe you can answer now. If it's going to be answered in one of the next episodes coming up, then just tell me to wait.
Okay.
But if I've missed something, that's what I want to make sure of. Because we were told homunculi cannot do alchemy, yet Wrath can do alchemy.
Yes. It was explained when they found him. And they started to kind of realize that he wasn't human. Mm-hmm. And he can do alchemy because he has two human appendages, which are Ed's appendages.
Okay.
That's the only reason he can do alchemy. Well, that and because, he's from the inside the gate or whatever. But the homunculi can't do it because, they're not human. Mm-hmm. But because Wrath has Ed's arm and his leg, he's able to perform alchemy.
Got it.
So that's why he's the exception.
I feel like there's something I'm missing here because of when they try to revive their mom. Well, no, I guess with him, he sacrificed his arm and his leg to save his brother. So therefore, it wasn't like it was a sacrifice from him. Therefore, it went to the homunculi from that.
Well, it went to the gate. You remember Wrath, when he died, when Izumi's baby died, she tried to bring him back. And of course, she had his body. He wasn't already cremated like Ed and Al's mom and the other homunculi and stuff like that. The body was still whole.
Right.
She used his body to do the human transmutation, and then when he turned into, the little monster baby, she realized she fucked up. She gave him back to the gate. So where Ed and Al, or where Ed, sacrificed his arm at the time because he lost his leg first when the transmutation for his mom failed. Then he sacrificed his arm to bring Al's soul back through the gate. So where Izumi, she sacrificed, her organs and everything. But when she gave Wrath's body or the baby's body back to the gate, she sent his entire being through the gate.
Gotcha.
So that's why she doesn't have anything left of her baby. That's why there's nothing that Ed and Al could do to destroy him because there's nothing left. Or there's supposed to be nothing left.
Right.
That's one of the things Wrath says. My body went through the gate, That's all. But he's the creature that when you see in the first episode, the little hands reach out and they take, Ed's arm and stuff like that. It's supposed to be Wrath who is taking those appendages.
Got it. Okay. I was just trying to wrap my head around that. Plus, what else was it? There was something else I wanted to... Oh, how are they coming back through the gate? How did, Wrath and Sloth and Pride and all them, is that explained later? How are they actually physically coming back through into our world?
Well, it's supposed to be with their mom, they kind of showed it, you know, they brought her back.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it wasn't her. It was the homunculus version of her or whatever, a twisted version of her. But it's basically once they perform that, it's kind of like they just come back. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I guess it's more of they just kind of pop up somewhere and Dante finds them and then, you know, brings them in. And I will say this is one thing. The homunculus in this are completely different than the homunculus in Brotherhood.
Okay.
Like the entire premises of the homunculus are not what it is in this one. Like Sloth, specifically Sloth, is not the exact same character. It is a completely different person. It is not their mother.
Okay.
Like, she is never brought back as a homunculus. She's a completely different person.
Interesting. All right.
Or, well, Sloth is a completely different person.
But that's cool. I mean, so how did
Like-
that kind of makes you wonder at what point did they, because you said like halfway through this show, they had to kind of divert and just do their own thing.
Yeah, they diverted pretty, I mean, not super early into this in the 2003 anime, but I know you can look it up and find out when exactly it like diverges. And when we watch Brotherhood, you'll definitely realize that like a lot of the stuff, especially like Nina and Alexander, that happens within like the first couple episodes of Brotherhood. Like everything is kind of progressed and kind of fast tracked to a point where in this one they kind of drug everything out a little more. But with Brotherhood, the entire premises of the homunculus, of like Hohenheim, of all that kind of stuff is just vastly different. And that's why I keep saying like it kind of makes me giggle where you thought Hohenheim was bad, because you'll get why when you watch Brotherhood.
Okay. Anyway, so this episode is kind of picking up where the last one sort of left off. And we're seeing Sloth trying to manipulate Al into working with her, kind of using the, oh, I'm your mother kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
And he falls for it.
Which I can't blame him.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that's one of those things. And I feel like that's one of the things that, I don't know, kind of irritates me about Ed, because I don't really blame Ed either. Because one, he knows that that's not his mom.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Ed has more memories of his mother and his father, obviously, than Alphonse does. Because he was still young when she died. I mean, they both were young, but Al is younger.
Right.
But even with his father, him wanting to have that relationship with his father and Ed being like, no, he abandoned us. Well, you know that, but Alphonse does not remember him. He only knows what his father looks like because of pictures.
Yeah.
So him wanting a relationship with him, of course he does.
Yeah.
And even him losing his mom, like, you were the big brother, you were, you know, yes, it hurt Ed too, but Alphonse is feeling things different than Ed is.
Sure.
He can't just shut off those emotions. To him, that is his mom. And the thing that made him kind of go with her is when she recalls a memory of when he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, kissing the boo-boo and taking care of him and that kind of stuff. And Alphonse remembers it. So it's like, you are my mom. You remember what I'm remembering. So you're her, but you're not.
Right. Now, at the same time, Wrath is having kind of an identity crisis, kind of confusing memories of his own mother, Azumi, or, well, I guess technically, yeah, would kind of be his own mom.
Yeah, Azumi is his mother.
So I was talking about, I guess, from a homunculi human aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, she did kind of take care of him and care for him on the island. So, in essence, yeah, it's kind of his mom.
I mean, with Wrath in this one, because he is another homunculus that is different, I think it kind of comes down to Sloth, Wrath, and Greed are the three main homunculus that are completely different in Brotherhood. Like, they are completely different characters. But with this version of Wrath, he's very, like, it's very sad. Like, he's a little shit. I'm not going to, dismiss that. He is a horrible person in a sense. But at the end of the day, the only memory that he has of his biological mom is her literally sacrificing him to the gate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, his like kind of memories that he has aren't even really memories because he wouldn't have memories. He was literally a newborn when he died. And I mean, it's just like that's, I don't know. I feel like that's why he's so confused.
Right.
Because Sloth has been like a mother to him in the sense of protecting him, keeping him safe. She literally carried him inside of her body to protect him from the Elric brothers. So in his mind, yeah, that's his mommy. But he also doesn't know what a mom is because he never got to experience it. All he knows of his mother is her abandoning him through the gate.
Yep. So he kind of starts running back inside. At that moment he's kind of like frozen in that confusion state, I guess.
Yeah, he kind of wakes up all fucked up and yeah, just starts saying, mommy, and is kind of lumbering off to go find his mommy.
Now, as Al and Sloth are trying to walk out of the facility, Tucker starts in begging for another opportunity to bring back Nina. And you see that soulless husk off in the background. It's just sad. Just awful.
Yeah.
And Sloth knocks out Tucker, just telling him to fuck off, and creates a little sphere around his head, I guess, to kind of disorient him. And said that his role is not over as of yet.
Yeah.
So whatever that means. Ed arrives at the warehouse, transmutes some metal nearby into a replacement hand for his automail, which I missed apparently, but was pretty cool.
Yeah. It was kind of a fast scene. It happened right after Ed or Al kind of looked up and he said brother. And then you just kind of see a gun and Ed kind of put his little stub to the gun. And then all of a sudden, flashes. And then next thing you know, he's moving his new hand. That is nowhere near as good as his actual automail.
No.
But,
it works.
It worked for him just fine.
Here's another question I got. I guess I've never really noticed it. It's just something I've kind of taken in stride as we watched it and never questioned, but it just hit me. I don't ever recall Al calling Ed by his name. He just says brother all the time. There might be instances, but I've really had to think on any moments that he actually called him Ed.
I mean, I want to say there's some instances where he might have just been like Ed, or something. But I don't know 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure he never screams Edward the way that Edward screams Alphonse.
Yeah. But again,
or Al.
Ed says Al all the time.
Yeah.
He never says brother.
No. Yeah.
I just found that to be interesting. Anyway, after he kind of transmutes a new automail arm, so to speak, that he kind of bumps into Sloth and Al on their way out, and Ed tries to talk him out of it's not their mom, despite what he thinks. And there seems to be this back and forth where it's just trying to get him to understand that, and it's a struggle. If you will. Now, Tucker appears, and Ed sees the portion of Al's armor that's missing, realizing that Tucker has utilized Al as the Philosopher's Stone. So they kind of explain, there is equivalent exchange in this moment, so that kind of pisses Ed off, where he's like, I'm going to have to just beat the hell out of everybody for being so stupid.
Yeah.
So Ed then transmutes his arm into a machine gun, shooting at everybody, forcing Tucker to run off. and Sloth to turn her body into water, but Al steps in and shields her, like that's gonna help. I don't know. Then Ed runs, and just as Sloth encases him with water, Ed reveals his trap, which was a transmutation circle on the floor, just like he did to Greed in Dante's house. And additionally, Ed has something in his pocket, which is the remains he dug up from his mom's grave. This obviously upsets Al tremendously, although, as kind of Ed said, he's like, we're fighting for our lives. I didn't really have time to just come to you and just be like, hey, is this okay? So I get where he's coming from. I get where both of them are coming from in that moment.
Well, I will say, Ed had every opportunity to tell his brother that he dug up their mom's grave, because it was when they were in Risenpole for several days.
Yeah, this is true.
And I can understand, like, if it is, because we know that they used a little bit of her ashes to try and bring her back. We know that obviously the little box that he has probably contains, I assume, what is the rest of her ashes. I could be wrong. It could just be, he could have just grabbed a handful of ash and dirt and packed it in that little box and went on its way. But the way that it is wrapped and the way that it looks almost looks like a little boxed urn that you would bury in the ground. Yeah. So if that is the case, and that is their mom's ashes, the rest of them, then they're basically sacrificing what is left of their mother to take out the bastard version of their mom. Yeah. So I can kind of understand why you'd be upset, because that'd be like losing the only remains left of her that you have, in a sense. And I don't know. I don't know.
It would be a little upsetting, because that's something, at least you knew you kind of had them with you in some way, and now you won't have any.
Like, I feel like it's kind of like when people, in the real world, and people get cremated, some people keep like an entire urn of ashes. Some people keep like a little bit, put it in jewelry or something like that, and then they'll scatter the rest of them, because as long as they still have a piece of that person, they can still, it's sentimental reasons.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
And I can understand why Al would be upset, because at the end of the day, it's not just Ed's mom.
Right.
He might be the older brother, but at the end of the day, they are both supposed to be partners in everything. They're supposed to have each other's backs. And if Al would have done that against Ed, then there'd have been fucking hell to pay, because Ed would have went the hell off. So Al has every reason to be upset about it. But I also kind of understand why Ed didn't, because Alphonse had already, for several episodes, been trying to bring up Sloth and trying to, like, start a conversation of, oh my God, she looks like our mom. And Edward just kept, like, he already knew. Ed already fucking knew. Yeah. He had that feeling. He just wanted it confirmed. When it got confirmed, that was the end of it. He wanted her gone. Basically, erase our mistake and, keep you safe.
Right.
And they're just fucking dumbass kids, and they don't talk to people.
Sure.
Like they should.
Well, as they've got her trapped on the transmutation circle, like I said, he whips out the box, fuses her body into it, and then she starts kind of having a moment where she's kind of like what happened to Greed, where it kind of drops and starts kind of seeming like they're going to start hacking up the stones. And at that point, Lust appears and tries to assist. And, Ed kind of thanks her for... Or one of them thanks each other. I think they thanked each other. I don't remember. Someone thanks someone in that moment. Anyway, he throws her locket, or the locket with her. What's in the locket again?
The locket, it has a lock of her hair.
Her hair, that's
and
right.
There's like a little pouch that you kind of see in it, like the only time you actually see what's in it. And I would assume that probably a little bit of her ashes as well, but definitely a lock of her hair. And it might just be the lock of her hair, but I know that when they open it, you see the lock of hair, and then there's like a little, almost looks like a little folded piece of paper type thing, but folded in a way to contain something. So
Sure.
I always took it as a bit of her ashes and a lock of her hair.
Well, anyway, he throws the locket toward her, kind of like, here you go, and she just swats it away. It's like, this is not why I did what I did. She admits, or Sloth wants Lust to, explain why she's betraying their master, because, it was all about doing this to become human or whatever, and Lust admits that her memories, she believes, are her memories, despite what everyone says. She believes that these are her memories she has, and it's not anything she can, it's not something she can help. So there's something there. She is still the same person in some regard. At least that's what she believes. In that moment, as they are kind of discussing all this, Al grabs, he grabs the case.
The case that contains the ashes of their mom.
Where did he stick it? I thought he put it in her.
Edward put it in her, and then as she was kind of dissolving and stuff like that and breaking apart, it kind of came out, but because she was still in that transmutation circle and so close to it, it was still affecting her. So Al ran onto the transmutation circle, grabbed the box, and chucked it out the window.
Yeah. And as she's recovering, she does, spit out a few of the stones as the brothers are still arguing about everything going on, like, why in the hell are you doing this? And Al admitted that even if they didn't create her, they can't destroy her, and Lust volunteers to do that for them and tells Ed, just go get the case, I'll take care of it, whatever, and immediately finds that Wrath has got the box. So realizing what he was trying to do, Wrath makes it clear that he's going to protect his mother. Ed explains that, that's not your mom. I don't know what you think. You are confused.
Yeah.
It's not your mom. It's not my mom. So Wrath fuses the case within his body and then knocks Ed back into the building. And once inside, Wrath transmutes a number of guns, and it's just amazing the shit that this kid can do.
Right? He just literally runs by him, and as his hand barely brushes against them, they just disappear and transmute onto his hand. And
he's now got this, massive gun hand.
Yeah.
And just starts shooting at Lust. Now, Sloth uses this chance to turn into water and enter a spot in the hole that's kind of in Al's armor now, and take control of him, forcing him to go after Ed. Now, Lust destroys the gun on Wrath's arm, while Ed pursues Sloth while she deals with Wrath. Now, Lust admits that even though Wrath doesn't have any remains that can be used against him, she can still kill him once the red stones are out of the body, so she starts trying to do whatever she can with little spiky fingers and get him out. But Wrath starts dodging pretty, nimbly. Yeah. It's like he figures this shit out. And once he's knocked down, Wrath notices that the locket that Lust had on her, that she knocked away earlier, so grabs that, uses it against her, makes a nice little transmutation circle, and traps her in it. And now she's kind of fucked. Yeah. But we didn't really get to see the end of her as of yet. I don't think in this episode. I think they just kind of left her hacking shit up.
Well, the only thing we see is as she is hacking stuff up, Wrath turns his arm into a blade, and you're under the assumption that he killed her. But, I mean, yeah, she doesn't dissolve away as greed did.
So I would assume, like you said, we don't see it, but it's safe to assume she's dead. So we'll see. Anyway, Ed catches up with Sloth, who's still possessing Al. He can't really fight Al because of the Philosopher's Stone stuff as before, so he tries this very interesting thing where he has to create a transmutation circle, but they do it off of 2 different tables. So he creates one half on one side, one half on the other.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you get a moment to where they can work together, they smash it together and create the circle, so then he can freeze Al into place.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was pretty slick, just knowing that you're gonna, what you're up to. Like, I was trying to figure out what he was doing, if he was just trying to get one done in time before he could get attacked, but that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Ed apologizes to Al for what he did, but Al makes his own apology for being, silly. Sloth begins to break free, and she admits that she remembers seeing them that first night when they tried to transmute their mother.
Well, she remembers seeing Ed.
Yeah.
Al's body was already gone by then.
Right.
But yes, she does say, I remember seeing you. And then it shows, the clip of the horrifying face of the, I swear to God, the look that they do, like when you see his mom and stuff like that, that look, it makes me think of that freaking old horror movie, The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, didn't we watch that? We watched that not too long ago. Yeah. That's what it makes me think of when that thing like bursts out of people and like you just got funky limbs and shit hanging all over the place. Yeah. That's literally what it looks like.
Now, as she kind of does a little bit of a flashback, she mentions that Dante was in Resin Bull that night, which I think we see a flash of that early on? And I was just like, who's that? And you're just like, it'll all be explained in time. Or something like that. Maybe I'm mistaking it, because I remember there were moments that were flashed early on in the series, and you didn't explain it. You were just like, they'll explain it later on. Just remember these little flashes. And I don't remember if it was her, but I remember there were details of other people who might know at that time. So I might be equating it with that. So,
I don't remember.
That's fair. Because, again, I don't remember either. And I think there may have been other people that I might be associating that with.
I don't remember them showing Dante that early.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. That's fair.
It could be that maybe she was off in the background or something, but I literally cannot freaking remember. I got too much brain fog, y'all.
It's fine. But anyway, she knew that this was going to happen regardless at some point, because, they're Hohenheim's boys.
Yeah.
And they gave the corpse, or we see not Wrath, which one was it? Envy with Dante and feeding Sloth the red stones.
Yes.
While it's back at her house. And after she's, I guess, kind of created a new form body, or at least looks more like their mom.
Yeah.
You see Dante sitting over her while Sloth is in bed with Pride by her side. Mm-hmm. Talking about pretty much how they're going to integrate her into everything, the whole deal with the Ishbalan woman.
Yes.
Or the woman who was blamed for all this shit in Ishbal.
Yes, Miss Douglas.
Miss Douglas, and then they're just going to replace her with her, and yada, yada, yada. All that stuff that we know, now we see how it all comes back. Mm-hmm. So back in the present, Ed realizes that Sloth is vibrating her cells to thaw herself out, and after breaking free, Sloth admits to them that, as Les said, she does have their mother's memories, and she's I feel like she's using this moment to kind of manipulate the situation.
Of course.
Yeah, because she's just like, I remember things, I know all this, and Sloth wishes to kill them so she can be free of these memories, since, no mother could kill her own sons, as she says. So,
and it is a very tragic thing, because obviously she does remember the boys. She does know that at one point she, or at least a part of her, was their mother. Mm. However, I can also understand being very fucking pissed off. Right. And, wanting to be like, if I just kill you, then, I'm not your mom. So you didn't, try to bring me back and give me this absolute horrible existence and, make me this freaking monster. Mm. So I guess I can understand her thought process behind it, because honestly, the way she kind of words it is a little confusing.
Yeah.
But if you think of it in that way, it's like Frankenstein's monster.
Sure.
In a way. Like, you created me, and now you're turning your back on me, and you don't want to admit that I'm your mom. Well, fine. I'm not your mom. I'm just a monster. So I'm just going to kill you to prove the fact that I'm not your mom.
Mm-hmm. So Ed now, well, at least Ed continues to fight Sloth. And
Yeah.
As Ed is doing all this, Wrath shows up and kind of distracts everybody. Ed stabs Sloth with his automail sword, which he transmuted into sodium so it could react to the body, or her watery body. And it causes her to explode, and they're all freaking out like, what happened? But obviously she kind of regenerates. And Wrath, in a bold attempt to try and protect her, decides to fuse his body with her, not remembering he also fused her remains into his body.
Yeah.
Which
I so sad.
did almost forget myself, and then I was like, oh shit. And it's like it clicked. So,
because it's not just like with Sloth, when she had it in her, because the way her body is and everything, she didn't absorb it. But with Wrath, when he takes something into his body, it like changes on a molecular level. So those ashes are now a part of him. Like, he can't just rip that shit out. They are now a part of his entire being.
Yeah.
So him fusing with her, therefore made her a part of his entire being. Therefore, basically putting the ashes right back into her in a way that they can't take them out.
Yeah.
They can't do anything. It's all for naught. And it's like a bittersweet moment, because in one way you're just kind of like on Ed's side as a, you're a really dumb kid.
Yeah.
Like, don't be impatient. Maybe you should think. But on the other hand, with Wrath, I guess the way I look at it is he might look like a, 10, 11-year-old child, however old he's supposed to be. I think he's supposed to be around the 10-year-old mark. But however old he's supposed to be, at the end of the day, he's still a baby.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't get to grow up. He didn't get to have a childhood. He didn't, he doesn't know what growing up or being a child is or anything like that. All he knows is he loves this woman as his mommy. She's protected him. He wants to protect her, and he'll sacrifice himself to do it. And by doing so, he literally caused what happened happen.
Yep. So with this, she is practically paralyzed. She can't move.
She is paralyzed. Can't move.
Ed
Stuck there.
takes this opportunity to utilize a transmutation method he used on Greed, where he had to transmute Greed's body to defeat him.
Yes.
So therefore, he also pulls the same stunt here and turns her body into ethanol, which allows her body to vaporize. And the episode ends kind of odd with Winry kind of showing up out of nowhere and then just grinning. And it's like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a weird little grin. So I'm starting to wonder if that's not Winry, because where did she come from? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We're going to have to jump into the next episode to find out.
Yes, because they left it. I mean, it didn't say to be continued or anything like that. It wasn't like some massive cliffhanger, but it's still a cliffhanger. And that's how the foreseeable episodes are going to be.
I mean, we're in the home stretch right here. 4 more episodes to go. Y'all are getting,
and then the movie,
double episodes this month.
Yeah.
While we get to the movie. So I hope everybody's enjoying all this, because I'm eager to get in the next episode, because I'm ready to end this. Not like I want to be done with it. I just want to know that story.
Yes.
I'm ready.
He wants to know how it ends.
Yes. I'm tired.
I can't wait until we get to Brotherhood, because then it's going to be like a whole other roller coaster ride.
So I'm done. Let's go to the next episode. Links and everything are down below, people.
Yes. Check us out. You know where to find us. We love all of you, and we will see you next time.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.